It's going to be for the front air suspension. The other video I did the rear. So the fronts are a lot easier. Usually with the beginning, like taking out the front is the hardest and taking out the rear is the easiest. But when installing, like for me, the rear is the hardest and then the front's the easiest. I just kind of threw these on. This is like a little small victory. Main things you gotta remember with the front is, in the instruction manual, it says to cut off those little tabs. Let's see if we get this light on. The little tabs, so you cut them off all the way into the inside, and that way they don't come out. Like, let's see if I can show you what these things look like. So it's just this little tab. Basically it comes out and secures that piece to there, so when you're turning it, it hits the body and doesn't keep turning. It's basically a keeper. And then you, for this, you basically would pull out and it separates that, and you slide the bottom part of there in, and that is basically it. This is the cutter tool I had, a 6 amp one. Did pretty easy work of those tabs. They give you their own nuts on for the top, so you'll use their nuts. You just got the 3 right there. Don't try to put those in first because you need a lot of movement to get the arm between there. This is basically, it's secured, so they give you this bolt and nuts. I said I had the caliper off, so I mean you see these bolts right here are loose. Put them back on, threw the sensor back in, the bracket back on, and the ball joint nuts. I haven't tightened anything yet because they say you're supposed to tighten everything once you settle it down to the riding height. This is also the other one, the sway bar link. So to get that one in, like, it was a lot lower, so you basically just put a jack underneath the bottom end right here, jack it up, and then it'll even out right there. And then, yeah. Ended up seeing a few videos of the routing, so you just basically zip tie this good. Try to do like turning. I'm going to take the fender well out, and then I'm going to run it alongside these lines right here. So you basically just route it underneath through there, take off that plastic piece and route it underneath there. And then for me, I'm going to, I don't know if you saw my last video, but I basically found a little grommet right there. I'm going to end up drilling through it, and it's not fine here. I'll show you the way. Basically both sides have this little part that goes in that way from a plug. That's where I'm going to run my lines. The other person I saw drilled up into like the body. I mean, there's a couple of different ways you can do it. There's a grommet up there, grommet there. Yeah, it's pretty open in here though. This is the completed rear one. I turn this one back out. I'm just gonna route it, like I said, up through here, right to there. I got the 3/8 line. Hardest part, of course, like I said, for removing for me was the fact that my exhaust is in the way of this bolt that was the opposite way, so I just flipped them around. You can see how this thing is kind of tilted. That's how much you had to push the top piece up to get these 2 bolts in. And after that, I'm going to re-loosen all these bolts before I put the wheels on. And there's also a spacer I have to put in on this one, the rear arm. The instructions are really hard unless you like read it 2 or 3 times to really focus on what it's saying. Like at first I forgot to do the little roll things. That is kind of a pain if you have it in already. So make sure you have that in already. And other than that, that's what I'm going to do. Lines are going to come in through there. I'll probably poke a hole, a little skinny hole right through there. And then I'll have some stuff mounted back here. I think I'm doing a piece of wood with some spacers right here so it doesn't squish these things. And then just put it right there in the back, secure it somehow to this little lip. There is like a lip here. So I could just put like a bolt or 2 there. and that would be pretty easy. Look at that, someone replaced this battery. It didn't even have the vent connected to this battery. This is stuff you find. These batteries have this little vent, and this little hose is not actually on it. So I'll be fixing that as well. But yeah, it's pretty easy. I did not know this was here. This is for the gas lid, so if you can't get it open automatic, you pull that and it opens up. It's pretty nifty, but you do have to fight a couple things. Well, I guess this little nozzle's right there for that. So that's interesting as well. Learn stuff every time with these things. Other than that, I may make a little access panel because these have a little damper screw that goes in there once you're done, and you can adjust the stiffness of it. The front ones will be a lot easier because they're pretty open, but the rears are kind of just closed off. I mean, that's a struggle you get when you try to keep your spare tire. Everybody else had easy time because they just left their spare tire out. Other than that, I don't have to run anything because I'm doing my 3S system off the phone, so it's Bluetooth. Gotta tighten these up, but this will get the little damper knob as well, and then those are easy to adjust from the front. Yeah, it's not really much to it. I mean, I basically just read the instructions for the front and rear suspension probably 2 or 3 times to make sure I wouldn't forget anything. Anything else I think I gotta notice? No, just make sure you don't hit any threads, of course. Don't even come close to having a hammer near threads because those things are like butter. Other than that, it's just running the lines. The power, everything's in the back already. So the only thing I said I was going to have to do electronically, there's 3 wires that come out of that controller for the 3S system. So I'll just come through this little fuse box with a multimeter and try to find one that's off and on for ignition, and then negative and positive. Be really easy to deal with wiring wise. The other system that has a controller, I guess you have to run a wire all the way up to the front where you want the controller. I think the easiest way would just be following this wiring loom if you want to, but you have to take a lot of stuff apart for that. So that's why I just opted to have, not only was the non-controller 3S system cheaper, but it just, I mean, if you have your phone with you just about all the time, you can adjust it. And with this, you can actually adjust it without even being at the car. So I guess they have like a 1-minute on-off thing that you can activate it or deactivate it, even with the ignitions off. So like if it's down and it's cold outside and you want to just lift it up without coming out, you can just do it with your phone. Yeah. All right. This the wheel well is kind of a pain too because there's just one right here that twists, but I guess it's stripped out enough to where if you're not pushing at it at the same time, that thing goes onto the fender right here. I had no idea that thing was like that. That was kind of sucky for a little bit. If you knew me, you knew that I put the SRT kit on this, and this is the SXT, so the way the body is, the stock bumper comes this way, but the SRT comes out. So the fender well, the cover still goes this way, so this little part sticks out a little bit. I mean, or actually I can show you on the other side. I don't know why I wasn't thinking that. And this is the only thing. So that's what it does. That's what sticks out. It's not too crazy. I mean, everything else fits, but that little spot on the corner, I still have the stock side skirt. I didn't get the SRT style yet. May do that next. I mean, it just flows so well with this one. I think the SRT one kind of sticks, it bulges out like these corners. Not too crazy. The only reason I wanted the front and rear is because they just look more aggressive. I mean, look at that thing. It's just nice. The stock one was just crappy. I mean, don't get me wrong, the LED lights are amazing, but I even stuck the LED lights for this one. And for that, you have to just switch the 2 power wires to get them to work. I found that out online. So like when you wire it, you just have to pull the 2 wires out of a connector and swap them, and they'll work perfectly fine. So much little stuff about these things. Like how I added the camera myself as well. That was pretty easy if you just follow the instruction template. Pigtail is like right in there already, so it's already wired, which always interests me on how cars are wired already, because I wanted to see if this had something going to the rear suspension for the adjusting ones, but it doesn't look like there's any pigtail for that. So that one's already connected, that one's already connected. When I did the rear bumper swap, I got the one with the park sensor wires, but mine didn't have it, so the connector coming out of the body had like, what, 2 or 3 wires coming out of the connector. The connector itself had maybe 15 to 20 slots in it, and most of those are used by the bumper, but I'm guessing it's not pre-wired for that either. So I just swapped the connectors. You can see the connector all the way back there. You really can't get to it anywhere else except unless you take the bumper off. Some people are asking for my exhaust. It's the MagnaFlow muffler coming off. It's just a 1-to-1, just a stock Y pipe. And I found out these are actually either the SRT or the Hellcat resonators. But they make a world of difference, because I did not have any resonators at first, and while it sounded really nice, it was only once it was warmed up and if you drive in sport mode. Like if you drive in the auto thing, the shifting just was awful. It droned a lot, but it made like some good I don't want to say backfire, but it was like a little popping noise every time you're in high gear and you're downshifting from like 4th to 3rd or something like that, and it would just be like blah, 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 blah. This is the diffuser. I think the stock rear bumper connects to these couple things right here, but mine didn't have that piece, so I just kind of skipped it for now. So this, it's not loose, but it's not secured like crazy as well. But this diffuser just popped on pretty easily, and you just, I could not find the little rib piece, the plastic rib pieces that were that big, so I ended up zip tying it for now. Yeah, the thing's just a pretty much a straight flow, so it's kind of like a really fat glass pack. Maybe it might go off. Yeah, but it makes a world of difference. It's like, it doesn't make the popping noise anymore, so that kind of sucks, but I mean, it was still pretty loud. It would echo off the neighbors' houses, because as soon as I started, it just, it's just really loud. But now, it's pretty much where I want it. I think the next things right now I'm going to be doing, I think I'm actually kind of done. I have a Snow White kit. Some people were asking me, this is the Wicked Wine color Plasti Dip Performance Series. I just spray it in my backyard. That's the old silver bumper. I was testing out some gloss. I basically just pull back there, and it's a little difficult with bugs. You have to really clear out the bugs, but I mean, it fits in there. And I sprayed this. I sprayed my FDRX7 I had before selling it, and I sprayed my Jeep Cherokee. And I guess once you start realizing how it is, get pretty good at it. I wanted to do, this is the only thing, this is a vinyl, so I actually got the vinyl one for the top. Kind of wanted to make like a glass look. So, I mean, that's how like the shadow black, the new color is. This is like actually the black color, and that's the shadow black. It's a little dirty. Other than that, when I did the SRT hood, I got the ABS cover, and then you have to get a couple other things like this seal, the 2 bumper stops, and the heat shield. For some reason I asked the hood people why they didn't sell the hood shield, and they said it was really hard to ship. The only thing I just laughed at myself thinking, why not just attach it to the hood when you ship it? And who knows, but I had to go and get that from the dealer, and I ended up just getting the seals from them as well. This seal is kind of weird because it's got the 3mm tape that sticks on the front side, and then it's popped in with the little clips on the back side. Other than that, it's not too crazy. I mean, the scoop is still functional, of course. Everything sits nice. How's it going?